Hey guys, my name is Tim. I'm the Master Mechanic at Zeiton BMW Mobile Services. Today we have 2008 BMW 335i, and the repairs we're gonna do is a very common failure, high pressure fuel pump replacement. When high pressure fuel pump fails, you usually get the infamous half engine light, but this is not the only indicator, and this light is not indicates only the high pressure fuel pump. So just don't think just because you get the half engine light that's because of your high pressure fuel pump. It's not. In order to diagnose it properly, we'll go to DME computer and see for the stored codes. So what we get in here is injection cutout, of course, and the high pressure fuel pressure. The easy way to check it out, basically, it's go to the live stream, not the motor operating values, but we have the high pressure right here. So if we start the car, it struggles for a bit, but it's and you can see the pressure is very low. That's a very low pressure. That's why the car struggles like this. And there we go, we got the half engine light on and it stabilizes. So, but once again, it's not absolutely necessary that it's gonna be like this all the time, because sometimes it's very possible that the car will operate normally within the streets, but once you take it on the freeway, it's just gonna throw this half engine light and shut down basically the high pressure fuel pump. That's a very easy indicator that the pump is gone, is going out, or is completely gone. So without further ado, let's get to the process of replacing it. The high pressure fuel pump is located under the intake manifold, and in order to get to it, well, first of all, we'll start with removing all of this plastic and all of the other things. How to do that? You put your screwdriver in here, nice and simple, and you open up those latches right here as well. You free up the cable. The rest is those two covers, they are pop in, so on one side and another, and you remove this rubber thing. It's exactly the same on the other side. You'll have the 8mm bolt right here and 8mm bolt right there, also 8mm bolts on the perimeters. And you just this is the cabin air filter. You take this out, this whole thing out, and remove the plastic. Next thing we're gonna do is remove this air duct, which is held by two 20mm Torx. I mean, not 20mm, two Torx 20 bolts on each side. Real simple to do those. After that, get this out. That we can simply move it out of the way. And now we're going to be disconnecting this breather hose. So it's standard BMW, you squeeze on both of those sides and just lift it straight up. You can see the release of air, you can hear it. And take it out of here. On the other end, I will disconnect it from here. You just push on this white tab and just pull it straight up. There you go, just like that. And I'm not going to be removing this vacuum line. It's not going to be on the way at all, so I'll just leave it in here because, well, don't like doing that. You can break the nipple, this one right here. After that, don't forget to take all your wiring out of its spots. Those can be really hard stuck in there, but it's just rubber, so remove all of them. Alright, so they're all free now. And now we have air filter box that is held by those two tubes. Just release this one. That's number one. I don't have to make it that loose. And the other one is right here. As you can see, just let it loose. And the only thing left to do is just lift it up. It's held by 3 rubber sort of clips. So just go on once. And twice. There you go. It's out of the way. Next thing we're gonna do is I'm going to be removing those tubes right here, and as you can see, this gray part right here is a lock. You can move it manually through this square, but it should be, yeah, moved by hands. So if this is unlocked, we can do the same on the other one. This one is stuck. Let's see. This one is okay. Oh, this one is unlocked already, I think. And you just pull them. If it is stuck like this one, just grab a pair of pliers, or you can just use your screwdriver directly in here just to loosen it a bit. Don't go crazy, you don't want to break this stuff. But once it starts moving a bit, it might get much easier to move it by hands. Otherwise, you just yeah, there you go. And then it releases like this. And we're gonna remove this the other side. I unlocked it already. There you go. And this one. This one is not stuck exactly, but it's a bit of a troublemaker. There you go. There we go. You can't mix them up. I'll take this vacuum line off. It's as far as I remember on the intake manifold. So yeah, here's the vacuum line from those two tubes. It goes directly to the intake manifold. In order to take it off, I'll just gently use your screwdriver, because chances are everything's brittle here, very high, and you don't want to break any part of your intake manifold. Might be a good idea to replace this vacuum line altogether. But they usually not go bad in my experience, so we'll take this out of the way. Next we're gonna remove this charge pipe right here. In order to do that, we'll start with this clamp right here. Just undo that to the point when it's free. Good. After that, we have Torx 30 bolt right here. It's just holding it in place. This is out. And now we have this bracket on the throttle body. So my recommendation, just remove it fully. full removal of this bracket is better, since nothing will be on the way at all. And then the last part is this sensor right here. It's a regular connector of BMWs. So what are we gonna do? I'm gonna use the pick tool. Just put it right here. I don't know if you can see it, so we can just lift a little bit of this, how do you call it, this little bump. So I'll stuck it in there and just pull the wiring down. There you go. So, and now the charge pipe is basically free. All we gotta do is push it down from the throttle body, remove it from here, and now the easiest way is to twist it a little bit and remove it. There you go. So the whole thing is out. If you're replacing it with the aftermarket one, that's same thing to do. Now we're able to remove the throttle body. It's 4 10mm bolts, 2 on top. You can clearly see them. 2 at the bottom, but you barely can see them, but you can definitely feel them. 1 right here and 1 right here on the other side. Also, don't forget you have the connection for the purge valve right here. But you can remove the throttle body. Just don't yank it away, just let it hang and then disconnect this this line. I'll remove the throttle body and show you how to do that. Now the throttle body is only held by this vacuum line. Basically, it's a standard BMW squeeze and release connector. So on both sides, it's just easier when the throttle body is out to do it. Just squeeze it on both sides and let it go, just like that. Hard to show exactly, but that's what you do. And we got a regular connector in here. Push and pull like that. At this point, we can already see the high pressure fuel pump right here. This is it. That's the troublemaker. But we do have to remove the intake manifold to fully access it and to be able to remove it from the car. In order to do that, we have this electrical hub right here. That's it's kind of connected to the intake manifold. But the idea, I think original idea behind this thing, it's you push those pins on both sides and you just slide this hub out, because you won't be able to remove the intake manifold without removing the hub. The other way around it is there is 3 Torx 25 bolts. They are facing straight up. It's possible to remove them, especially when you remove the intake manifold. You lift it up and you can definitely remove that. But I would recommend you just push as hard as you can, so you can put those pins under those plastic plastic things and just slide it out. Like nothing's gonna happen. It's electrical hub, it's just held in place like this. Doesn't have any functionality at all. While we at it, we're gonna remove this absolute intake manifold pressure sensor. Just exactly the same one as on the charge pipe that goes to the throttle body. So I'll be doing the same thing. There we go. So I managed to remove this hub, slide it out. It's quite a struggle, but you can also put your pick tool between this metal part and the plastic part right here, and well, try not to break it. But even if it does, it's not a big deal. You can slide it back on, it's still gonna hold. There is no movement here, no vibrations to the point where it's gonna fly out. Even if it does, it's not going anywhere. It's like firmly seated by all the wires and everything. It's like whatever, no big deal if you break it. Those connectors, I mean those plastic parts, not a trouble at all. Now we're moving on to the top, and first thing first we gotta do is unplug this oil pressure sensor. We gotta remove all the wiring. The oxygen sensor connectors, the way to do them, it's you twist them, there you go, and remove. It's the same here, twist and up. Then we have those holders. Just take them out. You don't need to disconnect anything, pretty much. I would just have this connector in the back of the fuel rail it's a fuel rail pressure sensor. This sensor right here is high pressure sensor, and the one you'll see later on at the bottom is the low pressure sensor right next to the high pressure fuel pump. So we remove those. We'll have to push this down. It will hold the intake manifold. So just let it loose. We don't have to remove anything. We just let it loose, and now we have access to 11 millimeter. It's 6 nuts on the intake manifold from here to here, and only 1 bolt in the very beginning of it. So let's remove all those. Now all the bolts, I mean 1 bolt, and all the nuts are removed from the intake manifold. Now we're ready to lift it up, but before we do that, remember this vacuum line that goes to the throttle body? That's from the purge valve. It's a tank ventilation valve. We just gotta slide it out of the intake manifold because it sits on it. It's on all the BMWs. It's just a regular rubber, so just slide it out. Once we remove the intake manifold, you'll see how it's done. And now we basically ready to lift it. The 335's intake manifold is you can, if you worked on the other cars, it's lighter than on, let's say, on the 328. It's a smaller, shorter passages in here. There we go. As you can see, nothing else needs to be removed. Just be careful and mindful of the surroundings in here. We have one wire I forgot. It's right here. Just unlock this bracket. I really don't like those brackets. One of two ways, or just remove it. Got it. Yeah, there we go. So this is it. The intake manifold is out. Now we have access to high pressure fuel pump, which is this one. We will have to disconnect the line right here. It's 17 millimeter at the bottom and at the top at the rail, but it held by 10. I think, yeah, it's not 10, it's 11 millimeter. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's 11 millimeter bolt right here. And I will remove this wire right here and take this bracket off because it's just on the way. At the bottom we have also right here, I don't know if you can see, but you will once you remove everything. Right here it's 17 millimeter as well. This is where the sensor, it's a low fuel pressure sensor right here. We can disconnect it, so we can move the hub further away, as well as we can disconnect the wiring from the starter. This is also where you can see the connector for the high pressure fuel pump. So it's a basic squeeze and pull. Really hard to do with one hand, but we'll get to it. And the high pressure fuel pump is held by 3 Torx 30, as far as I remember, bolts. I'll show you the tool I use to remove them. It's easy to spot 2 of them right here. The other one is right here, and the next one is not really hidden. It's right here in the back. It's just the way to access it is a little bit restricted by all the components that are on the way, but I'll show you the way around it. Now, once you release this well, fuel rail, expect fuel to come out. It's not gonna be much, especially with the fueling pump, but it's gonna be some, and it might spray a little. Just be prepared. You can put your towels in here. I don't expect much to come out, and definitely not spraying anything, but yeah, there you go. So it's a little bit coming out, and no big deal. Fully release it, and we're gonna take it from the top as well, simply because we need it moving. There you go. So it's just, I don't want to remove it fully, just put it right here. It's gonna be fine like that. Next thing we gotta do, I am going to disconnect this sensor standard way, big tool, and take it off, as well as the wiring from the starter. So we got that out. This line is held by E12 bolt. I'd say we can, yeah, I'll remove that, but at the bottom we also have the 17 millimeter. We use this wrench again. There we go. This is out, and now you can see on the other end is a flexible line right here. So once we remove this E12 bolt, I think it's a 12, yeah, it is a 12, we'll be able to freely move this line out of the way. Okay, and now you can see it's out. And finally I'm gonna disconnect this electrical connector from the pump, and we are almost done. Now, in order to remove torque 30 bolts, I'm going to be using this tool. Got it in Harbor Freight. It's a whole set of them. Long time ago. Well, you can see it's a bit beat up, but you need this thin, long Torx 30 kind of, because if you're using the regular small extension, 1/4 inch, it will not fit in there, and you need something like that. Not necessarily you gotta buy it over there, like, but something like that. It also works great for the V10, M5, M6 oil pan bolts, so it's the same thing in there. Gotta get those because, like, here you go. This is how it goes right here. I'll put the light in a bit. So very narrow space in here. There is not much at all, and you gotta position this even tool to be able to turn it. You can see it's not that simple at all. So we got it like that. Once you lose it though, it's fairly straightforward. Like, I mean, once you lose it, you can move it by fingers, or you can use anything in there. It's very simple. Also, just because the bottom bolt is visible doesn't mean that removal of it is just, you know, simple as well. You'll need this tool for the bottom as well, because there's lots of things on the way in here, and to properly take it off, yeah, you just gotta, not that simple. Yep, there we go. But once again, once you loosen it, it becomes very easy. So I'm just gonna remove those bolts and take the pump out. So this is it. 3 bolts are out. As you can see, there's no magic there. Just lose them and then remove them by hand. Now the pump is easily to be removed. Expect some oil to come out. That's the pump. Some fuel as well. So let's talk parts for a second. High pressure fuel pumps for N54 engine. Most of them gonna be either first used, those you can get for let's say $150 to $200, like that's what I see online today. Used pumps removed from normally running BMWs, just, you know, crashed or something like that. They will work. That's a better choice. Like used pump that was removed from a crashed car or for any other reason removed from a good running car is a way better option any day than unbranded Chinese copy of those pumps. I've seen those pumps that brand new from eBay or Amazon with lifetime warranty, $100, $150, $180. You install them, the car runs even worse than it was running with your failing high pressure fuel pump, the original one. Then the other option, I would say the most optimal one, as the pump like this, it's a remanufactured pump. Those would run you, the good ones, $300 to $400. They have all the necessary equipment in there already, like all the seals replaced and everything. So this, I would say that's the next best thing to the brand new genuine pump. So those will be $300 to $400. I've installed a lot of them. They all work. Never had any complications with those. I only had complications with those that are ordered by the customer from the eBay with lifetime warranty, Chinese unbranded stuff. Anything else, it was all fine. And you have an option of a genuine pump, and nowadays they run up to $1,000. Of course, it's gonna be the best option you can get for your car, but considering then this is a older car and with the normal market conditions, like let's say this 335 would cost anywhere between 5 and 8,000, giving $1,000 for just the part, that's might be a little bit over the budget. But as I said before, $300-400 for remanufactured, it's a pretty good deal and they work. I've seen a lot of them, but once again, don't go anywhere from the genuine part. It's either genuine used from running car, it's either genuine remanufactured, or it's brand new genuine. So this is it. Let's install the part. The O-ring here is already pre-lubricated. I can feel it, so we don't need to do anything. The installation is straightforward in here. Just need to fit it in. Yep, there you go. And now twist it. So fit it and twist it. Because on the old pump, I show you this part. This part right here, it has to fit a certain way, so you gotta fit this one in first, and then you twist it inside to match the bolt holes. And now when we've matched the bolt holes, just install, well, of course, the most visible one first. Don't put it all the way, because it will remove the pump's ability to be a bit flexible. So it's easier to hand tight the bolts that are not easily accessible. We can, so it doesn't move out like this. I can just still movable pump, but it's not going to be jumping out on us at all. right. Now, the easiest way. That's the hardest part, I would say. Putting those first few threads on this bolt right there. After that, I got it. All right, now it just takes time to put them on fully, and I'll get back to you when it's done. Okay, so the pump is installed using same thing. Don't ask about the torque specs for those bolts. It doesn't make any sense. You can't fit a torque wrench in there, so just use common sense when torquing those bolts. Don't go crazy. Remember the amount of force you use to remove them. Try to match it. Don't go nuts. It's just bolting it to basically the brake booster pump, and nothing happening over there. There is no ridiculous vibrations that can loosen the bolts, like nothing like that. So leave it alone. Now just remember to put the wiring where it's supposed to be. We'll start with this line right here. Just hand tight. It's 17 millimeter. We'll hand tight it here and do the same with this one. As you remember, I didn't remove it at all, so we'll start from the top. Just put it on. Oh, no, we don't. Just go start from the bottom better. So this aligns. The top should be aligning as well. Oh, come on. There you go. Align top and bottom. Make sure they both align so you can fit them in properly. Yep, now we hand tight those. All right. Everything's good, everything's connected. Now time for the bolts. This one, E12, as you remember, goes to this line right here. It goes right here. Can't miss it. I'll put them on. And the 11 millimeter goes right here. Go. Then what else is in there? You're right, that's the wire holder for the positive for the starter. Goes right here. That's 13 millimeter. Bracket and the bolt. Got it. And now when everything is threaded in, we can make everything tight. The only word of advice on this one, be careful with it. It's aluminum. Over torque it, break it. Although it's not a big deal, but the line will be loose. It's not gonna do anything bad for the car, but just so you know. And after that, we can finally plug in everything we unplugged, which is, we'll start definitely with the high pressure fuel pump itself. Let's find this connector. It's right, no, not here. Where is it? Oh, there you go. There it is. So it goes right here. Then we go for the low pressure fuel sensor. Right there. And don't forget your starter. There you go. So everything is plugged in here. We are all done. And now we're ready to install back the intake manifold. Installing the intake manifold is pretty much the same as the removal. Just once again, be careful with it. Start with the right corner. You'll position it the way it's under those tubes and under all the wires. Keep in mind the wiring in here, the vacuum lines to be exact, and everything else. And we can move this part a little bit, and it fits right in. There you go. Nice and simple. Now when the intake manifold is on, it's bolted on, we can readjust the wiring, even though it's not the main priority. But since we're pretty much done with the top part, we can do that. Remember to put your sensors in place properly. There you go. And there you go. Alright. Here. And we can put it back in here. Top part is done. Now this electrical hub, remember, let's just slide it back on. This is it. And I'll put this purge valve, you can't see it, but you will, back in place. And now time to install the throttle body. But before you do, just clean it up. You see there's a little bit of a buildup in here at the bottom, at the top. So just clean it up with a regular brake cleaner or carb cleaner. One of those will work just fine, or just a towel, you know, it's doesn't really matter what you're using to clean it up. Installing the throttle body is exactly the same way as we took it off. Just main things, common thing, especially, well, I'd say for me, sometimes you can easily forget to plug in the throttle body, since you'll leave it for later and you just forget about it. So just do it right away, because it will make your car run crazy, I'm telling you. So plug it in first, then don't forget this purge valve vacuum line, plug it in. And now I'll start with 2 top bolts to just keep it in place. Hand tight, just thread them in. No need to do anything else. And then install 2 bottom ones. we go, it's not going anywhere. Now we can easily install 2 bottom ones. Same rules, just thread them in. No need to make anything tight just yet. There we go. Cross pattern is not necessary, but I use it anyways, why not? And we are all done here. The throttle body is connected, the vacuum line as well. The next thing left is this intake manifold sensor right here on top. Don't forget that. And now we are ready to install back the charge pipe. But before we do that, I want to bring in those guys because it's easier to install the vacuum line. So I just want to install the vacuum line first while we have a lot of room in here. Even though with the charge pipe we still do, but that's the thing you don't forget also. Install the vacuum line in there, and now we can install the charge pipe. Same way. We took it off, we'll put it back on. So on this end it goes to the throttle body. I'll connect it first right here, since this one is kind of movable, and then just make sure this bolt aligns. Not absolutely crazy necessary bolt, but there we go. And now after this is in place, I'll put the bracket on after and lock it in place just like that. And don't forget about the sensor right here. There is a connector somewhere for it. Move it out of the way for the time being. Found it. So this is the connector. There we go. Plugged in. Okay. Next, this is in place. Just make it tight. This is locked. You don't need to do anything in here. The only thing left on this pipe is tightening this clamp. And the Torx 30 bolt. That's enough. And now we are ready to install those pipes right here. Also, there's a kind of feature. So remember, we have to unlock those gray things. If you turn them back to locked position, you can just lock them in place and you don't need to do anything after that. Same goes to the pipe. So just lock them before we put the pipe in, all of them. And when we do, all we have to do is push. That's it. Everything's locked, everything's tight. That's almost the final step before we can test the car without installing the rest of the equipment. So now back to air filter. So the way it goes, I'd start with this pipe first, put it on, and then the bottom one. Those are, of course, on the way. Alright, make sure it sits properly all the way in, even if it leaks air, it's not a big deal. So make those tight as well. Don't forget to put your wiring back on its spots. Hard to forget those. This, and this. There we go. And one more thing, don't forget this line right here. You forget that, and you have a horrible misfire with humongous air leak. Everything. Okay, and at this condition, without putting anything back, we can now test the car. I would recommend you to test it before you put everything else back, because this will allow you to see if there are any leaks from the high pressure fuel lines, if you smell any gas or anything like that, and see the operation of the car, because everything else is just cosmetics. Everything mechanical is already in place, so let's test it out. So before we start, just go to the DME. It's still going to be codes in there. They're not going anywhere unless you clear the fault codes. There we go, and now we can read the codes again. There's nothing, because it's a good idea to do that, since maybe you forgot to plug something in. I always do that, and it's just to check. And let's start the car. The first start, oh, it was relatively quick, so it's built up pressure real good, real easy. It's very possible that it's gonna be struggling for a bit, since the fuel was disconnected and the fuel rail lost pressure. That's the pressure you're supposed to see. Remember what it was before? 6,000, not 170,000. So that's the normal operating pressure of the high pressure fuel pump. But in order to fully test it, I will have to take it to the freeway and see what happens. So everything good in here. I'll restart the car again just to see if anything else pops on, because once again, easy to forget stuff. So yep, we are all set and good to go. Awesome. Everything's done. I didn't show you guys the part where I put all the plastic together, because it's pretty straightforward and easy, and you can find I think we have this video in how to remove the plastic on exactly this car. So everything's good, everything works perfectly fine, and that is a success. As I said, it's a remanufactured pump, works awesome, the car is good to go. And if you find this video helpful, guys, please help out the channel, like, subscribe. The more likes we have, the better. Also, don't hesitate to comment if you have any questions. If anything hasn't been covered in here, I'm gladly going to be answering all the comments regarding to the topic. And also you can comment about stuff you want to see in the future on E90s. We're going to be doing reviews of those, most common problems and all of that. And subscribe, please do that. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Thank you.